With the AP poll coming out Sunday, I wanted to look at actually the top 10 teams and when they could lose net spins. Everyone likes when a top-tier team loses unexpectedly. So, let's see when they can lose. Looking at Texas, I think they could lose either in the Red River rivalry against Oklahoma or back-to-back against Oklahoma and Georgia. They could lose both of these games, arguably. Georgia obviously being the domination that they are, and then rivalry against Oklahoma, they always go back and forth. So I think they could lose 2 of these games. And then as again, Georgia, I looked at the schedule, and the only upcoming one is against Texas, so I think Georgia could lose against Texas. Looking at Ohio State, I think they could lose against Nebraska. I think Oregon will pull up a fight, but I don't think Oregon is as great as people think they are. But I think Nebraska could pull up a fight. I think they have arguably looked the best Big Ten team so far. In my opinion, Ohio State has not played anyone legitly until later. So I think Nebraska could beat them. I don't think they lose against Penn State. So I'm gonna go with Nebraska could beat them. Next up on Bama, it's Georgia. They could definitely lose against Georgia in the next week. Like, oh my god. Yeah, it's Georgia. Next, looking at Ole Miss, I think South Carolina could pull a close game on them, but I think they arguably beat South Carolina. LSU, I do not have hope for. I think their next game that they could lose is against Oklahoma or Georgia, right down below here. I think Oklahoma's going to make somewhat of a rise within the next few weeks. And then Georgia, we don't even need to talk about it. So I think they could lose against Oklahoma and Georgia. Looking at Tennessee's, I think they could arguably just maybe against Oklahoma. I don't think this week, Oklahoma is going to put up a fight. I think they may lose against Bama. That rivalry is always so intense, especially since the last couple of years Tennessee has been up on the rise. I think the next game Tennessee could lose is against Bama. Going ahead and looking at Mizzou, I think A&M may give them a close game since they just had a close game with Boston College. Auburn may give them a shot, but Auburn is up and down. But I think the next game that Mizzou could lose is arguably Bama. Every SEC team is arguably maybe lose against Bama. Bama is pretty good. But I would like to see Mizzou somehow come from all this. And then you got Oklahoma that could give them a shot. For Miami Hurricanes, maybe South Florida could give them somewhat of a shot. And then Louisville. Other than that, I think Miami is going to steamroll through the ACC and then win the ACC championship. So, this is the first team I say goes undefeated and gets a playoff bid early. I know I'm nutting up, but I think Oregon could lose against Ohio State, and I think they will lose against Ohio State. So, Oregon's next loss is probably going to be Ohio State. And then to wrap it with Penn State, number 10, I think their next loss is probably going to be USC. I think USC is pretty good this year. We'll see how they do against Illinois next week. And then if they don't lose to USC, I think they lose against Ohio State. So, that's the top 10 games that they could lose next. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What's your favorite college football team, and will they go undefeated? Bye-bye.